Hello, hello, and welcome back to Soul Star Radio. I promised to sing If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands for Dave, the producer. So I thought I would start the show with that one today, as I've been away for a little while, having some fun dental surgery. So now I'm going to sing it. You ready? Join in after me. Remember to clap your hands if you're happy. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then you really ought to show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. So the reason I sang that is because I used to sing that a lot at the markets when I used to help out when there was a whole heap of stallholders waiting at 6 a.m. hoping to get a stand because there were new people to the market or whatever. This is way back in years, back when I was... Oh boy, having fun and rather interesting times in a market environment, that'll toughen you up. It's actually really enriching, but it does toughen you up. And I used to start singing that song at 6 o'clock in the morning because you had all these people not terribly happy at 6 o'clock in the morning on a bitterly cold day, waiting in line. And I'd actually also get them to do star jumps, and we'd have kind of like, 6 a.m. Exercise aerobics. It was kind of nuts, really. But it shifted the mood and the energy. And so the last couple of weeks I've really had some rather interesting times. First of all, dental surgery, I mentioned that. And it's amazing how when I take time out, the sheer volume of calls that just keep coming in, and I really need to speak to you now, and it's like, can't actually speak. So sometimes it's really important to look at ways you can self-soothe and ways you can find the perversity in the situation to find the humour, because life can be heavy, and certainly the last couple of weeks has kind of been a bit insane for a number of people. And in amongst that, it's important to remember to always find the humour, because the humour can just lighten up the load, lighten up the energy, and really help you to clear your energy. And it can be particularly difficult for empathic people to be able to clear their energy because, they're literally like sponges. And I first met a particular lady who had an aura camera many years ago at an event, and we were away from home, and I went in that morning before everything started and said, hey, look, could I have my aura photo taken? She said, sure, not a worry. And I talked about how my auntie used to have an aura camera many years ago and how I could change my aura in the photograph. And she was laughing and went, okay, all right then. So she starts taking the photograph, and she's sitting there and she's like, hold it, hold it, hold it. Just be there. And I'm like, okay. And then she went, oh, damn it. And I said, what? And she says, someone walked past. And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, we're going to have to take another one. And this is before the Polaroid shot had even developed. And so we went, and we're waiting, and there's another photo that's coming through. And then yet again, another person walked past, and she goes, oh, no. So she pulled that photo out and she let that sit. And then there was one more photo, and she just actually spoke to a couple of people that were there before it opened to the public and said, look, do you mind not walking past? In Jacqueline's case, to take her aura photo accurately, I actually need no one to walk past. So I'm just sitting there minding my own business, really, just waiting for this camera and this photo to sort of happen. And finally she took that third and a fourth photograph, and then she lined them all up, and they're actually all completely different colours. And when someone had walked past that really was quite excited to see me, my aura had gone bright magenta. Is actually the colour I wear a lot. And my aura can be that colour at times, but that morning my aura was actually green. And it was a faded out green. It was green. It was exhaustion green. And there wasn't a lot of it. But in this particular photo where it had gone magenta, it was, you could barely see my face. And that was because the person walking past really, really was happy to see me and had a lot of love for me. And I really liked that person as well. And so, bang, there it was in the aura. and somebody else walked past and they were having not such a great day. And and the deep frustration showed up in quite a bright orange and reds and all this crazy stuff. And so, you know, some people can be more susceptible to other people's energies than others, and it's a reason why I use a date of birth in readings, because it allows me to switch on and switch off. And the switch on is taking your date of birth and I'm doing a reading. That's like that opens the floodgates. And switching off is once I've done the reading, it's like, okay, well, that's done. All right, I can let that go now. And I do that date of birth because otherwise I would be open all the time. And even when I'm practicing this discipline, and I'm very firm in having to practice this discipline of switching on and switching off, I can still be walking past people in the supermarket and it's like, oh, you know, and I'll feel their goings on, whether that is really, you know, the deep down depths of despair, or they're very angry, or someone's angry towards them, and it's sort of just palpable. And so you really have to be careful when you're empathic, who you're hanging around, when you're first getting, you know, in touch with the gifts, and even after you are working, like even as I do as a professional, you still have to be pretty careful how much exposure, I guess you'd call it, that you get to some people. And, you know, there is the need to go into nature and nurture yourself in amongst the forest, the trees, etc. Being an empath is very different to having empathy for someone. Having empathy is something that really should be part of human nature. It's not really something spectacular. It's a spectacular function of humanity, but it's not absolutely spectacular that you should have empathy for someone. But being empathic is not just to understand how they might feel or have compassion and care for how they feel. It's to actually feel how they are feeling. So, you know, to look at a photograph of someone and to have their broken arm, they had, you know, before the, you know, they had that broken arm after the photograph, and you're like, oh my God, you know, that's a real physical feeling, and it's an emotional feeling. And I've had natural disasters where there's a natural disaster coming in 6 months, and I'll have 6 months of some rather intense experiences leading up to something like that, and then on the day that it happens, it's like all those physical symptoms leave me. And they can be quite difficult physical symptoms to deal with, but even being empathic and even feeling so much from people and from society, that doesn't need to become an excuse as to, oh, I can't possibly go to the supermarket because there are people there. It just means I might not go to the supermarket every day. I might have time out, and that's the thing to understand. If you're trying to reach a psychic on the phone, or you're trying to book an appointment, just because they don't answer you immediately might actually be a good sign, because they might be having either time out, or they could be answering 50 other calls, or they could be in an appointment with someone. And what can happen, even with someone who's very disciplined, and I've been doing this for 22 years professionally, what can happen is you're in the middle of a reading and all of a sudden you're going, Tokyo, or Oman, or United Arab Emirates. Hang on a minute, I think I better check my phone, which is on silent, and I shouldn't be tuning into right now. And sure enough, here's repetitive phone calls, one after the other, after the other, after the other, from that person from Tokyo or Oman or United Arab Emirates, as can be the case, and can be the case at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep. So just try and be patient when you're wanting to reach out. It's really understandable that you can be in a vulnerable place in your life where you really want help now, but it's really important to understand that the universe will open up to you at the right time, in the right way, with the right person for you. And you know, sometimes that is not at the exact time that you think it should be. Sometimes it can be that, in my case, clients can sometimes book an appointment and then have to change the appointment date because something came up that makes them have to change their date. And then they change the date, and then they come along and you give them the message and they go, wow, now I understand why I had to change my appointment date, because if you'd gone ahead and said that to me, that you have today, that I'm now ready to hear, if you said that to me in the original appointment date, place and location, I would have actually yelled at you. But because of everything shifting, I'm now able to hear the message that I really needed to hear, not necessarily the one I thought I wanted to hear when I first booked. So just allow that. Often there's an energy shift happening in your readings, whether it's with me, whether it's with other people. Just allow that there's often a holistic reason for why things happen. And sometimes it can be that you think the universe is calling you to do something right now, but, you know, you can find entire situations that mean that there's another now. So just be open to that. And so with that today, I'm going to go to the first call, and hopefully she's been very patient. I feel she has. We've got Sabrina in Eunice, Louisiana in the USA. Are you there, Sabrina?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello and welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being patient and also for calling in today. Was there a question you wanted me to look at for you today?
I was wondering if you can tell me, like,
we've lost you there, Sabrina. You there? Sabrina is having a moment of being transient, and hopefully we'll get her back. But yeah, certainly a lot going on where people can have mismatches of energy going on at the moment as well. And we are leading into a Mercury retrograde, and because it's going to be in Virgo, even though it's not technically here, and we're in the shadow phase of that, we're already kind of getting that. So if you're finding that you're getting miscommunications with people, you're misunderstanding them, don't be surprised. Just be patient, particularly because August is going to be quite huge, and we'll find that Mercury retrograde is going right through till the 5th of September, Australian time, I believe. You're back again there, Sabrina?
yes, ma'am.
Hello, welcome back. I might start with your date of birth then, if you're comfortable giving that to me.
Ma'am?
Yes, your date of birth if I can.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Hopefully you can hear me.
Hang on one second. Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you anyway. Yep, so go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering if you can tell me whether or not if I'm be getting married soon and if I'm pregnant.
Okay, that's a really interesting one. Got a double barrel going on there. Can I get your date of birth if I can?
Ma'am?
Yes, if I can get your date of birth.
January 2nd, 1997.
Okay, so it does feel like it's going to be a huge year for you anyway. I do feel there's a lot of love in spirit there for you that's trying to guide you in the right direction, and that in the past you were being quite destructive toward yourself here, and it's really important for you to really make sure that you're valuing yourself as well, because there's a tendency here to put a lot of other people first, if that makes sense to you. So it's really going to be important. Yeah, it's going to be really important for you to make sure that you're listening to your own better guidance, better judgment, and your instincts as well. I feel as if this year there's a lot of changes that are going to be coming up with you, and I do feel there's a solidifying of your situation. So that to me feels like creating a more solid future, a changed future. So that's putting your feet on the ground, that's putting the roots into the ground, and you know that would make sense with things like family, things like making really strong plans for the future, particularly financially as well. And I do feel as well I've got a male energy there that I'm picking up on that's actually going to be very supportive of you, and is trying to help you, but it's really important for you to listen. Apparently you are quite stubborn at times, and you can sometimes go against, I think I'd call it better wisdom. So to me, I feel as if that energy, it's almost like a fatherly presence. It's as if that person is going to be helping you with how to deal with the situations that you're finding yourself in, rather than simply yeses and nos and very surface layer stuff. This is helping you understand the deeper meanings of the situations you're finding yourself in and how best to deal with them. And to me, it is like you're, starting a new aspect of your life. So I would see, when it comes to that whole settling down thing, I do feel that's going to be happening. If you're not pregnant now, I don't feel you're going to be far away from that happening. I think I'd probably want to see a photograph of you to be clearer on that. And, of course, there's nothing like going and getting a test. But I feel like we might be in early days there. And so if you aren't right now, it's like it's not going to be far away is how I would put that one, to answer that as best as I can in this situation. I just feel that there's going to need to be a lot of plans being made and a lot of very practical compromises that are needed here too. So, it may be that you thought you were going to do this one way and you're having to do it a completely different way to what you would have thought, but that it does work out for the best for you and you are going to have help and support there, if that makes sense. Yeah. Does that answer that for you?
Yes, ma'am.
I wish you the absolute best with everything. I do wonder whether there was the thought of a pregnancy before that turned out to be a false reading, or whether that's what this is now. I'm not sure if that's the past or now, but regardless, it feels like there will be a pregnancy very soon. That's my best way that I can possibly answer that today.
All right.
Are you aware of a past time where you thought you were pregnant and you found out, oh no, that's not quite right? Has that happened already?
Has what happened already?
Has it happened already that you found that you thought you were pregnant in the past at some point here and then you found out that you're not at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Okay. So therefore, therefore I would say that the pregnancy the actual pregnancy is not far away. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope that makes sense, and I wish you the very best. You can connect through the A1 Psychic Radio Network if you want to connect with me, and you can also find me on the Facebook page, the Soul Star Radio, if you're wanting to, have further information or anything like that. So I wish you the absolute best with everything, and feel welcome to get back in touch, and I wish you the best with everything.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Now we've got Lynn in Citrus Heights, California. Are you there, Lynn?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Hello, and welcome to the show. I really feel that that wise woman energy with you, and it's like the sage and the crone that I get with this. So regardless of what age you were ever at, even as a child, it's like you're giving the wise counsel advice and all of those sorts of things. So even as a child, I think you would have been getting asked by older children, oh, what do I do with this situation? I'm a bit lost. That's the sort of feeling I get from you straight away. Was there a question you wanted me to look at there for you, Lynn?
It's always been a struggle. When is that ever going to change?
I think some of the most spiritual people, and I sort of don't like to use that word in a blasé term, but some of the most spiritual people who are walking a path where they're, sensitive and they're helping other people or trying to help other people a lot, and quite feisty, can find that life is not exactly that easy ride that other people can seem to be having. And I do feel that that's been the case for you. It's sort of been one struggle after the other. And I think that it's how we rise to those challenges that can bring that wisdom through. So you don't often find people who've had a very easy, non-challenging life that have a lot of wisdom to share with us, if that makes sense. I mean, they've got platitudes, but they don't have that depth of experience that brings that real feeling through that you've got. So that doesn't make it any immediately easier for you, and I do feel that, it just feels like as one thing finishes, another thing happens. But I do feel the positive mind frame and mindset is what actually helps you come through with everything that you need as you need it. And sometimes it can be a case where we don't feel like we've got much, on the exterior, the material, and in certain situations with feeling a lack of support from others. But, you couldn't change who you are anyway, and you couldn't be a sellout or, all those sorts of things. There's a moral compass going on here that's worth far more than all of those other things. So that doesn't make it immediately easier for you, but I do feel that the next 2 to 3 years do actually lift up for you on a financial level particularly. There's a lot of positives that it's like we're turning the corner in the next 2 to 3 years with that. But I don't feel that it's, I certainly don't feel that it's easy right now, and I do feel that it can be difficult to feel that you're getting support from people, and it's going to be that gentle plodding along that you have had to do that helps you get through this next phase. And as I said, in the next 2 to 3 years, you'll see a dramatic improve compared to where you are now, if that makes sense.
I have to wait 2 or 3 years?
Yes. Look, I don't feel that it's going to be 2 or 3 years of absolute, despair and then suddenly, nirvana is reached. I do feel that it's taking 2 to 3 years before we've turned that corner as a steady move of improvements, but then we feel a lot lighter at that 2 to 3 year point when, you can see how far you've come, if that makes sense, and that's how I would really see this with you.
Does that mean I'm going to be single for 2 or 3 more years?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
Does that mean I'm going to be single for 2 or 3 more years?
What I might do to answer that best for you is if I can get your date of birth, because then I can look at that for you, which I'm more than happy to do.
Because it's been almost 11.
So is that, yeah. So can you just say?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, the date of birth of yours?
So does that mean I'm going to be single for 2 or 3 more years?
Yeah, I kind of want to look at your date of birth if I quickly can, because then I can look at this question really, really right in.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I haven't heard that from you. So what I'll do is I'll just pull out the cards, and that will be my way of answering that for you, that last question. So what I feel is that I do feel that we're talking about 10 months before you've got a change in your situation as far as being single goes. That's where you'll start to see that changing quite dramatically. But yeah, I feel like it's the full year before that's becoming something more permanent. So to me, it's like it's about 10 months from now that you've actually got someone coming into your life where you're able to start saying, all right, well, this is going in a really positive direction. And that's where as well, I would see that starting to actually settle down. And that may take a year of that relationship to really go, yeah, okay, this has really hit the groove of where we need to be. This is who I need to be with, and that's what we're going to do. So I hope that helps you, and I wish you the very best with that, Lynn, and thank you for your call. Thank you also to our earlier caller. We've had Sabrina in Eunice, Louisiana. So we've gone from Louisiana to California. Lots of fun there. Thank you to both of you, and I do apologise to anyone who's tried ringing in today or tried connecting and hasn't been able to get through. We can only get through a certain number of calls every show, and thank you so much for tuning in and trying to reach me. You can contact me through Soulstar Radio if you go to soulstar.media, MEDIA, and you can send a message through the contact page, and I'm happy to answer you on air if you're writing in, or you can always phone into the Ask One radio network, which is also Moonstruck TV. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Going to be back same time next week, same back time, same back channel. And as I said, you can contact me through the week if you want wanting to. And I'll be posting a healing candle later on. I send out healing each week, and sometimes people actually comment that they really feel that going out. So do feel free to add your name to the list for healing. It's a weekly thing, and it's worldwide. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can still take part in that. And so I do wish you all the best. Thank you so much for tuning in, and catch you next time. Okay, bye.